This video will show you how to save and recover stuck or water-damaged trading cards like Pokémon, Magic the Gathering, or Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a departure from my usual content, which are technical explorations of the world of cinematography and filmmaking. I'm putting these videos that are not part of my usual catalog in a dedicated playlist called Off Topic. If you're new here, subscribe if you'd like. You probably found this video through a search or suggestion. I made it because I couldn't find a how-to that would help me recover these Pokémon cards that I inherited. There's likely some source out there that solved this, but my top-of-the-page searches came up with a lot of people in the forums that stated,
"They're totally wrecked forever."
I never played Pokémon. I did play Magic the Gathering and have a bunch of those. Thankfully, I preserved them properly. But a family member found these in a garage and thought I could maybe do something with them. Because they were stuck into a small handful of bricks, I didn't know exactly what was in the stacks. But looking at the cards that I could view, I quickly discovered that these sets were early editions and would have been worth some money if they weren't so
totally wrecked forever.
As you can see, there are a few good cards in here. I debated what to do, but figured that since they were already damaged, I might as well take a shot at recovering them. I did an initial pass at recovery to test my theories, and that was done off camera. The test proved promising, so I decided to video record my second attempt at recovering cards. I am a problem solver and critical thinker, so I did research into how professionals recover damaged paperwork or how they restore old posters or documents. Using some of those ideas and others that I tested, I started my journey to saving these cards. I had to sacrifice some cards to learn the best recovery methods. This one was a bummer to lose. But since they had no sentimental value to me and are already considered damaged, it was necessary to figure out the best method.
For science.
As a disclaimer, I make no promises that this is a guaranteed fix if you're here to save your own damaged cards. Card makers use different paper and inks, and maybe this only worked with the early edition Pokémon cards that I inherited. But if, like me, you have nothing to lose, proceed carefully. This is a multi-week process. You'll see that my efforts spanned over 40 days. However, I do explain in the video that I had some other obligations and work trips that split up some of the stages of recovery. I would guess that with smaller decks that are bricked, you could do this process in a couple weeks. With fatter decks, it might take 3 weeks. Let's get into it. Here are the things you will need. The wrecked
Forever.
cards, a few sets of latex or latex-free gloves. Sidebar, if you've ever seen professionals handle old documents, you'll see that they wear white cotton or lint-free nylon gloves. But we will be working with water and you'll want the moisture barrier. Clean, large Ziploc bags. A clothes steamer. You could potentially do all of this without the steamer, so consider this optional. But I do think the heated steam helps when you need to remove the curve from really out of shape cards. You're going to want a detergent with minimal ingredients. In the first batch of cards I saved, off camera, I used this Palmolive dish soap that's on the left. For the rest of this video, I'll be using the 7th generation laundry soap on the right. Soap reduces surface tension in water, allowing it to penetrate deeper into fibers. When I was a firefighter, we used something called Class A firefighting foam, which is kind of like glorified soap added to the fire truck's reservoir. It allowed us to use the hoses to penetrate our water deeper into burning trees and logs by breaking the surface tension of water. Added fact, Class B foam is the nasty stuff they use when something like jet fuel is burning, and don't touch that stuff, it's full of forever chemicals, and no thank you. If it isn't obvious, the soap will get onto your cards. We are using very little, but this is why I'm suggesting using a pure soap with no dyes or extra stuff in it. A clean, new spray bottle. You can get these from a dollar store. At least 2 large sheets of archival grade acetate or mylar. Thicker is better if they sell them in different grades. I purchased 2 25-inch by 40-inch sheets for my process, and I bought them in the thicker width. These will be listed as decimals or fractions of inches or centimeters. Art supply stores are a great resource for this. You'll want a clean surface to work upon. You'll see this piece of art card throughout the video, which I used as a clean surface when not on Mylar or acetate. A flat, wide, hardcover book. This is where you'll press cards when they are near completion. I found this sweet history book in the $1 bin at my local small bookshop. And when you're not pressing cards, you can learn about this guy on the cover. You'll also want to cut off some of the Mylar sheeting you ordered to fit inside your hardcover book press. You'll want a 100% cotton, lintless rag or a microfiber lens cloth for cleaning the acetate sheets after each stage. And lastly, you'll need some thick cardboard to put around the acetate or Mylar sheets. In my case, the art supply store shipped the sheets of acetate in this convenient cardboard shell with some thin trace paper, and I'll be pressing wet cards into this whole combination. And it will slide between your mattress and bed frame if you are going this route, which I'll explain soon. When I received these damaged cards, they were in 4 bricks of different sizes. I did my first pass to save a smaller brick, mostly off camera, but you can see the results are good. I have 3 bricks of damaged cards left, and for this video I'll show the process of saving the smallest and the medium brick. I'll do the largest brick at a later date. Day 1. Have all of your supplies ready. The project will probably start in your bathroom or kitchen, but waiting in my bedroom are the rest of the supplies. In your new, clean spray bottle, mix a small drop of detergent and fill it with filtered water. To know if you have the correct amount, shake the bottle vigorously. If after intense shaking it has a small layer of suds floating on top, you nailed it. If the top of the open space in the bottle fills with large suds and bubbles, it's too much detergent. Pour out most of the mixture, add fresh water, and shake again. On your working surface, have your decks ready to go and have the plastic bags standing by. Warm up your steamer if you're using one. When the steamer is warmed, start steaming the cards. It'll take some time, but you want to warm the cards up with the steam. You can carefully tap and put light pressure on the cards to work the steam in, but no matter the temptation, do not force the cards to bend or separate at this stage. Otherwise, you will end up with this ninetails. All we want to do is gently work the hot steam around the edges. Do not pry the cards. They are not ready. If you don't have a steamer, you'll start with this next step, the spray. With your Ziploc bags ready, spray the detergent mixture on the cards and gently work it into the edges. Same note as before, no prying. We want to saturate the cards. If the deck is feeling pretty wet, put it into the Ziploc bag. You can keep spraying water on it inside the bag. We don't need to drown the cards in the bag, but extra water is good. The cards are going to slowly absorb the mixture over time. Larger bricks will require more water and more time. Once you've thoroughly wet the deck, seal it up and wrap it in the Ziploc. And set the Ziploc bag aside for about a week, and you'll see why. It's been 3 days since we soaked the cards. This is early and you'll see why, but let's look at the progress. Looking at this Ziploc bag, the cards have absorbed some of the excess water we sprayed in there. Let's start with the small deck and see if we can separate cards. We can gently put pressure on the deck to push the water around in the fibers. But here's the biggest warning I can give you. If you hear any tiny cracking or popping, that is paper splitting and you just caused damage. If you feel any resistance, stop. The cards should peel or separate easily, like this bonus Charmander we just found. And behind the original Charmander, we easily reveal a Grimer. You're going to find out that I don't know the names of these, and I'm just going to pronounce it however I think it should be pronounced. Next, we pull an energy card. And a Dratini. And next, a Kadabra. And a Krabby. A Dark Persian. And a Rattata. You can tell I don't play the game, and I'm not researching the pronunciation. Okay, now right here, next is a great visual example of what not to do. The cards, when ready, will just peel apart without any effort, but here you can see me applying pressure. And if you look closely, I made some surface damage on this weeping bell. Compare that to how easily this weeping bell separated from this energy. I should have given this more days soaking inside the bag. What's left are energy cards, but if there were cards of importance in here, I'd let these soak longer instead of forcing them apart. Look what happens if we force it. Tiny surface damage. In my tests, letting them soak longer prevents this. Because this small deck still needed more soaking time in order to separate better, I'm going to assume that the larger deck will also need more time. But let's take this small separated deck and move on to the next stage. I've placed all of our newly separated damp cards in between the clean sheets of acetate that we purchased. If you look closely, you see that I added air holes to the sheet. I'll explain that in a few minutes. My first batch of cards I did without the perforations, but for this next batch, I'm going to try this to see if it helps with the drying speed. The weather in your area is going to affect how long this card recovery process takes. Wet weather, like I was having early in this experiment, is going to make drying and flattening cards take longer, unless you have control over humidity in your workspace. This is why I'll be trying the perforated mylar sheet going forward. While the small deck rests in the plastic sheets, I'm going to examine the medium deck we soaked. We take it out of the Ziploc, and we have that drowsy on top. If I pause here, look at the side of the deck. There are wet areas and dry areas. The dry areas are where our water mixture has soaked deeper into the deck. The edge is dry. This means it likely won't separate easily because we have dry spots. We want the cards damp all the way through. And yet, here we go. We start to get some separation on top. We got this Professor Oak guy. And since this top section separated, let's see if we get more. Hey, there's the Machop guy we spied a few days ago. Next, this peel isn't as smooth as it should be. We got this Diglett. And a less than ideal peel, and we get a Slowpoke, which is a real word I know. And boring energy. All right, back to the deck. We should have stopped here and let this soak longer, but for science, you see the resistance here. Pokémon Center. Oh no, I'm still going. This is a mistake. Too much resistance. Nope. What am I doing? It's not ready. And sure enough, surface damage on this Charmander. So don't do this. As this video goes on, you'll see more examples of what a smooth separation looks like. These are examples of when not to do this. My opinion is that this thicker deck needed more days before we started splitting them. Cards need to soak for about a week. That's the lesson here, especially when the edges are yet dry. So this fat deck goes back into the bag, and let's hose it down again. And see this extra water in there? A-okay. That's how the cards got bricked, and that's how we are going to unbrick them. Sealed up for a few more days. All right, let's add the newly pulled cards to the small deck we already split off. They all get spaced out between the plastic and placed in between our cardboard layers and tissue paper layer if you have them. This gets wrapped up and put under our mattress for pressing. Day 5. So I've pulled this cardboard case out from under the mattress, and we'll open it and check progress. And we peel the plastic. As you can see, some cards are still damp and some are drier. If they slide, they are likely drier. If they don't slide, they are still damp. As I peel cards off, you can see residue on the plastic. This is likely a mix of our detergent and whatever nastiness soaked into the cards when they first got damaged. We need to remove all the cards and wipe the plastic clean of this residue. With your lintless rag or microfiber, wipe away any residue. I've laid the cards out to dry again, and we'll let them air dry for a half hour or so. The time to air dry without the plastic on them is kind of guesswork. It depends on how humid it is. If you have a way to circulate air, I had a ceiling fan on when I did this, and how wet the cards are. You can see that they start to warp as they dry. This is how they got damaged in the first place. Let them air dry for a little while to speed up the overall restoration process, but when they start to curl, it's time to go back under the bed. I checked the fat deck in the plastic bag, and this was done off camera. I don't have video of it. But like on day 3, I saw dry edges, and so I soaked the deck yet again and resealed it again. No more splitting from the bigger deck yet. That deck still needs a little more time. Day 8. Let's pull this out and open this up. Looks like a few cards slid when I pulled up the plastic. Not ideal, we'll fix it. We're going to do what we did before. Move these cards, wipe away the residue, and let them air dry. But let me talk about perforating the plastic. In my test run, I used the plastic as I ordered it. But to speed things up, I want to see if perforations are better. I aligned the layers on top of each other and used a corkboard pin to punch holes every few inches. And notice I have the cardboard as a backstop underneath. Don't wreck your bed. Notice that the perforations create a smooth side and a rough, pointy side. You'll want to make sure that the smooth sides are facing inwards towards your drying cards, and the pointed impressions created by the pinholes are facing away, outward, into the cardboard. Otherwise, you risk scratching your cards. All right, the thicker deck has had over a week to soak. Recall we did our premature splitting on day 3. Let's see what has transpired. There are some dry spots on the edges, which tells me we won't get them all separated, but we may get some. Take a look at this first peel. Smooth. And another char buddy. This is what you want, a smooth peel without resistance, and we get a Meowth. And another smooth pull, Squirtle. And another Squirtle. But look how easy the peels are. Rhyhorn. And Energy. But look at this. We are only a few cards down and we hit resistance. You can see surface damage on this energy card. We've gone too deep in the deck. The cards here aren't fully damp yet and are sticking. And this dry spot on the side tells us the deck can yet absorb more water. You see the resistance as I try to peel, compared to the sweet pulls we just had a moment ago. So the deck needs another soak in the bag. Spray and seal it up for another day. Over in our bedroom mattress press, I have the original cards we separated off on day 3, and now I'm adding these newly peeled cards. The newly peeled ones are going near the perforations since they are wetter. The day 3 cards are in the solid parts of the plastic. And let's close it up and throw it underneath ourselves for a few nights of sleep pressing. All right, day 11. We've pulled this out from the mattress press. Time to sort them by stages of dryness. If they pick up easily, they are likely closer to being dry than to being wet, as we can see with these day 3 cards. As I pull these day 8 cards from the thicker deck, I'm seeing that some have stuck to the acetate. Now this is the first time I've seen this happen. It's possible that I didn't wipe the plastic clean enough when I did the last card rotation and the cards have stuck to old residue. So, clean the plastic. Use a slightly damp cloth if you need to, but make sure it dries before replacing the cards, or you're just working against yourself. Now we have a mix of mostly dry cards and some still damp cards. We need to sort these out, and the ones that are damp are going back into the cardboard press on clean plastic. Dry ones that slide easily and don't feel damp will move on to a new stage. We're going to take cards that are mostly dry and move them into the book press. You can see I have some foils I'm working on for my test before I made this video. I'll talk more about these foils later. I have pre-cut smooth acetate pieces cut from the larger sheets, and just like the cardboard stage, we will arrange the nearly finished cards into the plastic sheets between the book pages to fully flatten them out. This book will go under my mattress for final flattening. If your bed frame doesn't allow for you to fit a book in there, you could do a weighted stack of books all on top of the book with the cards in them as an alternative. While the damp cards air dry under a ceiling fan for a while, let's go back to seeing if we can peel from the wet deck. Recall that we hit resistance at this energy card on day 8. Let's see if we can dig deeper now that it has soaked for 3 more days. Okay, I can peel a little section here, and if we can just split these. Okay, a Lieutenant Surge Rat-a-tat, and back to this regular rat-a-tat-tat on top. Oh, but a smooth peel and a base set YuGiOh, and another. And now moving to the back of the deck, a Goldeen. Now we are being more cautious than when we started. Okay, I found a split here that I can work with, and here's a Team Rocket Mankey. And now I'm fishing for any more places that might be saturated enough, and another rat-tat-tat. And a little work gets us a Gust of Wind. And next, a Firo from Jungle Edition. And after some fishing, a Dodrio. Oh, careful. A Clefable from Jungle. And an Energy Flow. And a base set Starmie. And we're still going here. Okay, a base set Squirtle. Okay, and these peels are getting tougher. This is a sign to slow down. A fossil set Horsea. And a Psyduck. Alright, I'm going back in, it seems, but the warning signs are showing us we shouldn't. Okay, yeah, this isn't easy, and we wrecked a Starmie. And whatever card is behind this. We saw the warning signs before this, so the back of the deck needs more soaking. And moving to the front, risks and all. Looks like I can peel a couple more cards, though we should stop here. And a Jungle Meowth. And from the 2 that came off, we find a Spearow, Jungle Edition. I'm managing to get cards to peel here, but if I wasn't doing this video for you, this would be a good place to stop and let it soak more. But here's a base set Wartortle. Another cleanish peel Pokémon Center. And there's something stuck behind Wartortle. Carefully. A base set 2 Magikarp. This next peel is a little rough. A sleep card. We talked about how the back was feeling stuck, and we see the damage that happens if there's any resistance. So take a look at this Meowth card. We should have stopped a few cards prior. For science, here's what it'll look like if you try to separate cards that show any resistance. Meowth is done. So, as you can see, the remainder of this deck needs to soak more, and we will see how the job will become easier after more days. It's hard to be patient, but if you're ever in doubt, wait longer. So the rest of this larger deck is getting soaked one more time, and we will check it after a few more days. I've laid out all the cards we've pulled, and you can see damaged Meowth over there. And these are all getting covered in the plastic, then the cardboard layer, and paper layer if you have it, and going back under the mattress. Okay, team, it has been 10 days since I've done anything with these cards. That's longer than I intended, but I got really busy with work and this project got set aside. I would say you're checking on your cards every 3 to 5 days, unless you're just getting a fat deck started in its first soak, and that we know needs about a week. Let's see what has transpired after 10 days. Some cards move easily, they have dried out. But the cards at the top are stuck to the plastic. They are still wet. Notice that they are in the zone without perforations. 10 days of flattening, but without any breathing of air. They are not as far along as cards we've seen previously. This set is going to need some time exposed to the open air. If you look closer to the top here, we see that some cards stuck to the plastic. That could have been because we let them sit too long without airing them, and or because we didn't fully wipe clean this section. But let's take a look at our book press cards. They have been in here for 10 days, but they were at a much drier stage than the cardboard press. Alright, these are looking good. You'll see some foils that I'm still working to flatten from the pre-video version of my experiments, but all the cards we separated from the initial small deck are looking good. The dry book press is much more forgiving than the wet stage. You can leave cards in here longer. These finished cards are going to a dry safe place, a new home. I'm going to let the wet press cards sit out under the ceiling fan while we look at what is left of the thick deck. Now recall, I did some damage getting down into the center of this deck. I rushed the process and we had those cards we damaged the faces of because they weren't ready. Now compare what was happening 10 days ago with this deck to this. It wasn't even a peel, they just split away from each other nicely. So our Growlithe base set 2 came out better because we waited. And behind that, another rat-dat-dat-dat. But the back is wrecked from where we tried to force this 10 days ago. There's another one behind the Growlithe guy. Let's see if it fared any better. Ah, okay. An Eevee. Something I can't yet afford to drive. But because we waited, we didn't wreck this guy, which, if I looked this up correctly, is worth a bit more than some of the other cards. And another easy peel for a Machop. And we follow that with another Fearow. And a base set Caterpie, followed by a Bulbasaur, and a Goop Gas Attack, whatever that is. And the last peel, a base set Switch. Patience pays off. Take your time, just let it soak longer if it isn't peeling away easily. If we go back to the bedroom, we can see our wet cards are starting to curl. That means they are drying, but they are drying unevenly. We cannot let this process happen fully uncovered or you'll have curved playing cards. Now that we've successfully peeled apart every card we've soaked, we can now start strategizing the drying and flattening process. Any cards that are mostly dry and slide around freely can go into the book press. And then cards that are wetter will go in between the perforated plastic and less wet can be in the middle. And this all gets sealed up and put under the mattress, the book press 2. All right, we've pulled the cardboard press out and we open it, and let's let this air dry for a moment while we check the book press. By the way, I learned about this guy in the book. It did not end well. And as we gather up these book press cards, we can see they are looking fresh, crisp and revived. Way to go, us. A side story. These foils are from my pre-video recovery test. You might have seen them floating around inside the scenes of this process. When I received them, they were stored inside individual plastic sleeves because even back when a relative of mine owned these, they must have known that they were worth more, and still are. Because these were stored in plastic sleeves, they weren't stuck in a brick, but they still got water damaged and had a heavy curve to them. I've had to steam and press these multiple times over the course of this project. In some ways, they have been harder to flatten than cards that were stuck inside bricks. I have to assume that holofoil, being a different material than the paper, reacts to humidity differently and just takes more work to get flat. This is where having the steamer has been a big help. If we go back to the cardboard press, we can see that the air drying is having an effect. Wet cards are starting to curl. So now we need to sort which cards are ready for the book press and which need more time in the cardboard. I've sorted them, and these are ready for the book. Then the plastic gets cleaned again, and we sort and place the cards that are too damp for the book back into the cardboard on clean plastic, and we spend a few more nights sleeping on them. Day 35. It's been 9 days since I last handled these cards. I went on vacation. So these got left under the mattress and my sleeping skills only contributed a little bit. If we start with our book press, we can see that we have a lot of nicely recovered cards in here. Each new section brings us revived cards. Let's open up the cardboard press. Hopefully nothing has stuck. Thankfully, we've avoided any sticking. Although I do see that some cards have a little curve or bending to them. The hope is that the book press will solve this. Although if the cards have fully dried out, they may need a steamer stage to reset the shape. Don't forget to clean the book press plastic before inserting the new batch. And everything left in the cardboard press is dry enough for the book press, so let's lay these in here for the final stage. Our cardboard press is done. Day 41. 6 days in the book press. Let's see how they turned out. Pretty good. Even the ones that had some wonky angles flattened out in the book. If anything didn't get back to 100, you can lightly steam them and then add them back into the book. If they get really damp, then do the cardboard stage first, then the book. Only because the book stage does not allow for much air circulation. And look at what we've got. A deck of revived cards. If you had cards that got truly mangled, obviously we can't fix tears and scuffs this way, but you could get them flat and playable again. I'm just happy that this worked. It's really cool. If you have watched this and you're aware of someone else who's done this in a different way, please share the video below. I just didn't find it. All of these turned back into these. Oh yeah. If you go to resell these or trade them, please be honest and admit that they were water damaged at one point. A professional card grader is going to be able to tell that these went through it. There are enough scams in the world. I did not make this video to encourage scams. But I find it pretty amazing that we were able to recover these. I mean, when I received them, I was almost certain I'd have to toss them.
They're totally wrecked forever.
But I slept on it. Figuratively and later, literally, and I challenged myself to find a way to fix them, and here we are. If you have any stories about trading cards and them getting damaged, please share it below in the comments. I don't expect a lot of subscribers as this video is kind of outside my channel's usual topics, but engagement is good. Tell others about how your brother wrecked your collection, and I'll read and reply to comments as I get them. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful.